Factionalism within the Liberal Party has been in the spotlight in the past year. We saw Conservatives clashing with the Liberal left in Victoria in a very loud and public and large fashion. The battle between former state leader John Pizzuto and the MP that he tried to kick out, Moira Deeming. Deeming ultimately won her fight back, and Pizzuto is now the former Liberal Party leader in Victoria, as I said. Sometimes I wonder if the left faction of the party will ever learn, though. This week, the Liberals candidate for the federal election in the New South Wales Illawarra electorate of Whitlam was dumped by Peter Dutton for the terrible crime of expressing conservative views on women being assigned to combat roles in the military. Ben Britton was disendorsed after those comments were made on the ARC podcast with Joel Jamal. Interestingly, the idea that women shouldn't serve in close combat roles is a view that was quite recently held by Peter Dutton's own Shadow Minister for Defence, Andrew Hastie, one of the most talented people on the front bench, in my opinion, and a former SAS troop commander himself. The late, great former Liberal Senator Jim Molan, another terrific defence thinker in our country, also shared that view. So it's not a radical view by any means. In fact, it's a very serious matter that he was discussing when you actually look at his comments in context. In fact, it's so important, and it's the opposite of sexist, that we're going to play it for you right now.
We've got the best toys, the best gear, but the personnel is at the worst level it has ever been. That's a direct result of Defence Force recruiting, lowering of standards, in particularly to allow females into combat roles. They said they'd never do it. It'd always be the standard, and women would have to pass the standard. Ever since they said that, they've dropped it because they want a 30% quota of females. And I've proven this. It's not a conspiracy theory or anything. It has been proven in Senate estimates. The chief of the Defence Force admitted it, and this is what's actually happened. We are in a position where diversity and equity quotas, Marxist ideology and woke ideologies take precedence over the defence of our nation. And we're in a very, very serious situation, because what is going to occur is, if they go to a major conflict, they're going to suffer tremendous casualties, because it's modern warfare, and what we've got now is like nothing we've seen before. People get chopped up very fast.
That's Ben Britton. He was disendorsed by the Liberal Party for those comments. Wow. He didn't say women shouldn't be in the armed forces. He said combat roles posed issues. But it seems there's little tolerance for any views that diverge from the radical feminist script that runs our culture these days, even inside what's supposed to be our main party for Conservatives.
If we're to fix our Defence Force, unfortunately, they're going to need to remove females from combat corps, and that's not an attack on females. I serve with some of the greatest females in the Defence Force, tremendous people, and I'm very, very glad to have met them and known them, because they made my life better knowing them. But when you are taking a young girl who turns up and wants to be just a medic, or wants to be a clerk, or wants to be a driver, or whatever, no, you should do infantry. You should be out in frontline combat. No, they push them into these roles.
Seen it.
And what's actually happening is the discharge rate, the medical discharge rate for females is off the planet.
Absolutely.
You're talking 70-80% are getting medically discharged. Their hips are being destroyed because they can't cope with the carrying of the heavy loads and the heavy impacts that's required from doing combat-related jobs. So the concept of diversity and equity and these woke Marxist ideologies, young women are being put on the altar and sacrificed for this ideology. And the mental health problems that are coming out of our military, especially for our young females, they've proven 87% higher suicide rate amongst female veterans than other females in society. 87% higher. And no one's taking care of our women. No one's taking care of our women in the Defence Force.
That's Ben Britton saying things that apparently are now unspeakable in Australia, according to our two major political parties. And thanks to Joel Jamal and the ARC podcast for sharing that video with us. It's a good podcast. Anthony Albanese said Mr. Britton's remarks demonstrated a hard right takeover of the Liberal Party. What an absolutely idiotic thing to say. But instead of slamming Albanese for that stupidity, turning this around on him and saying to the Australian public, no, we're going to stand by this ex-serviceman's comments. We think the Australian people are smart enough to see that there was nothing sexist in what he was saying, and it's a healthy debate that we should be having. And having a political win from all of this, what do the Liberals do? They kowtow and they crumble in fear and they boot the guy. Joel Jamal is the host and producer of the ARC podcast, and he says the reaction to the original video, the original interview, and the subsequent reaction to the booting of Ben Britton as the Liberal Party candidate have been very interesting indeed.
What's fascinating about this podcast is it's actually 66% women with regards to the listeners, and the amount of likes on the videos that Ben featured in were over 99%. So what's really strange about this is he's been removed for supposedly misogynistic comments about women not serving in the front line of our military. And we see a situation where Peter Dutton wants to throw him out as a result. Now, if you were to put your money on some seats that you might have won this election, Peter Dutton, Whitlam was one of them. I have been inundated by members of the Liberal Party resigning, some of which were in the Defence Force, many women that I have in my audience that live in the Illawarra and live in the seat of Whitlam. They are outraged and they do not want the new candidate. I believe Ben Britton would have won that seat. Now we've got a situation where a last-minute captain's pick has been made. The candidate, Ben Britton, that was selected democratically within the Liberal Party, has been shafted aside. Now, Ben, what choice does he have but to run independently? He's done all this work. He wants to represent the community. He fought this democratically within the Liberal Party, and now they've essentially forced him out.
Joel Jamal from the ARC podcast there. Now, Peter Dutton says concerns about Mr. Britton went well beyond that women in combat roles comment. He said on Tuesday that there were a number of issues that have been made public in relation to that candidate, and that is why he was replaced. The problem is that we don't know what those comments are. Ben Fordham on Radio 2GB in Sydney said he had information that Britton had said that pornography addiction could push people into transgenderism. Oh dear. But as Ben himself noted, and I would agree, it's hardly a wacky view to be speaking about the potential harms of porn in our culture, or it is not wacky either to be talking about the way that trans ideology has become a little too much of a trend in our culture. That is all, in my opinion, within the bounds of acceptable social commentary, especially on the right side of politics. So what's the problem here? Maybe something else will come out that Britton has said. But it feels to me like it's a case of the Liberal Party letting the left and Labor set the agenda again, instead of setting it themselves, or being cultural followers instead of cultural leaders. The same old problem that makes every damn election either a loss for the Liberals or nail-bitingly close like what we're facing right now. Mr. Britton made some pretty interesting comments in an interview with Sydney Radio 2GB's breakfast host Ben Fordham this week. He claimed that higher-ups within both the Liberal and Labor parties had indulged in a witch hunt to have him removed from the campaign, and that it was a systematic plot from the Liberal Party's left-wing faction to ensure Peter Dutton loses and can be rolled as the leader. Wow, okay, that's a conspiracy theory and a half that I really can't see being too realistic. But then again, who knows these days, although it sounds a little extreme. Britton said the faceless men in the party alleged that he'd faced domestic violence charges in the past, sexual assault accusations and bullying claims, and they made all sorts of things up on the fly. He clarified, by the way, that he's never had a domestic violence charge in his life, nor any accusation of sexual assault, violence or bullying levelled against him. It's a pretty sad state of affairs, by the way, if this is where our political games are at. It's more likely this is just another case of the typical gutlessness to stand up to the bullies on the left and their cancel culture nonsense. It's so very 2019 strategy, Liberal Party. What the Liberal Party's advisors have got to learn is that you cannot beat cancel culture by caving in to cancel culture. You must stand up and fight it at every turn. Why? Because the attacks themselves from the woke army are the way that the left win the game. The fearful reaction and silencing that victims like the Liberal Party and corporations and celebrities have to the cancel culture accusations level against them are in and of themselves how the left wins. I want to tell you about a fantastic initiative that's happening out of Canberra right now. It's called the Awards for Men in Leadership. The awards are given out on International Men's Day, which is November 19. They're designed to combat the increasing denigration of masculinity in our culture and the widespread discrimination against males inside and outside the workplace. The goal is to lift the well-being of boys and men and facilitate healthy collaboration between men and women. The awards for men in leadership are designed to inspire men to make a bigger contribution to family and community and to elevate positive male role models. There's a $10,000 scholarship for studies and professional development, public recognition for the winners, and a year of mentorship and executive coaching for each recipient. It's targeted at young men and middle-aged guys who fought their way up from some other kind of disadvantage. This is the third year of the awards and it'll be the biggest yet. To find out more, just search up the Awards for Men in Leadership on Facebook. That was a segment from a recent episode of our fortnightly news commentary show, The Other Side, with me, Damian Curry. If you liked it, support us. Subscribe to our channel on YouTube right now so you don't miss a thing. It's totally free. Just click that subscribe button and the little bell. And check out our Other Side Unplugged show too, and join our mission to actually do something and change Aussie media for the better at othersidetv.com.au. That's othersidetv.com.au. Check it out now.